Hey YouTube, welcome to the Vapors Lounge. My name is Jeff, and today I'm going to be doing a quick review on the Reo Mini 2.1 and the Reo Miser 2.0. It's a bottom feeding mechanical mod available at reosmods.com. I'm going to break it down, do a quick build on it, show you all the bits and pieces in this device, and hopefully answer any questions you might have about a bottom feeding device. Is this the device that's your perfect vape? Stay tuned. Okay, so here's the Reo Mini 2.1. The 2.1, they have different sizes of the Reo. The 2.1 is designed to hold an 18490 battery and a juice bottle that contains 3 mils of juice. As I mentioned earlier, it's a mechanical mod designed to be a bottom feeding device. What that basically means is that it feeds juice directly up to the bottom. Every time you push on this bottle, you push juice up through the hose tube into this chamber, right through the 510 connection, right into your device. As you release pressure off the bottle, it pulls all of the juice, excess juice, back down, leaving you with a nice wet coil and wick. Depending on how much wicking material you'll have, will kind of determine how many hits you'll get before you have to go ahead and squeeze the bottle again. Now this device is milled out of a solid piece of aluminum. This particular color is called Black Wrinkle. They are available in a bunch of different colors, and they are available, as I said, available in some different sizes. This is the Mini 2.1. They also have a Mini, which I believe holds a even smaller battery. It's not the 18350 though. I believe it's a 14490. Not really sure. Check it out on the website reosmods.com. Or the Reo Grand, which is kind of his signature piece, and that holds an 18650. So here it is, the Reo Mini. Really nice machined work. The back edge rounded off here. It's a small device. It's basically not much bigger, as you could see, than an 18490 itself. It fits very comfortably in the hand, especially with the way it's been machined, with the back edges kind of being rounded off. It sits very nice in the hand. The top here, this button is actually an add-on. They sell that also on their website. This is how it's going to look stock with this particular button on there. The button does have a locking feature, a quick little turn clockwise, and it won't go down, and all the way back counterclockwise, and it's ready to fire. It actually has some safety feature built in there, or a safety feature built in there, in the form of this particular spring. The spring has some solder in it. If you have a short going on or some type of issue where your battery starts to overheat, it will melt that solder, collapsing the spring and taking the battery out of contact. Well, it's a nice little safety feature to have, which really doesn't inhibit the device in any way, but gives you some level of protection from, once you get past the point of your battery getting hot, only much worse trouble from there if you don't stop it. So kind of nice to have a little something on there. The button as it is stock, it's just plastic. There are no wires. This is a true mechanical mod. So it's just a spring, a spring in that button that's pushing down on a contact that's completing the circuit with the battery. Quick note on the batteries, you're probably best off using a button top or nipple top battery. I think you can use a flat top. You would just be pushing down that much further on the button to make contact. As you can see, as I said, you push down here and it's just a spring-loaded button that's pushing that contact down to make the connection. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and take this whole thing apart so you can really see what's going on in there. I mean, there's really not much. But we'll do it anyhow, just so you see what's going on. The door is held on with magnets, just two simple magnets here. It is aluminum, so obviously there's magnets on both sides. Has a nice track where it slips in. It holds really tight. You can't shake it off. I do notice though when I tend to throw it in my pocket, because it can slide off this way, I do have a tendency of throwing it in my pocket and having this pop off. Not that big of a deal, although I wouldn't mind if it actually had a couple stronger magnets. I really don't need to get in here that often, so something to consider. The contacts that are in here are working fine. I don't have any issues with them. The manufacturer is in the process of upgrading these contacts. There's a couple reasons why he's looking to upgrade them. As it is now, this device has a very simple contact on it, and the manufacturer supplies you with a small bag of Nolox. Nolox is a compound that's basically used to help conductivity. So every couple weeks, as routine maintenance in this device, FYI, you should be having some routine maintenance on any of your mechanical devices, but on this one especially, if you don't get in there every couple weeks, depending on how often you use it, and kind of just rough up the edge of the contact and apply a little bit of Nolox, you will see a bit of a drop off. It's almost as if the battery's starting to die when in fact it's not. As we take this thing apart, you can see that where the juice bottle works is it's got a very simple plastic bottle in here that holds approximately 3 mils of juice. And you have a tube that's feeding from here right up through your 510 connection all the way down. So, very easy to fill. Pull it out, fill up your bottle. Although you can't quite fill the bottle all the way to the top. If you do, when you go to push this in there, it will spill out, of course. Some simple displacement. You also have a small O-ring at the top of this, in the cap of this bottle. A little FYI as well, if you do over tighten this bottle, you will kind of deform the O-ring just a bit. And the minute that you do that, it no longer has a perfect seal. So when you go to squeeze, you'll find that some air is getting in there or is getting out, not straight through the 510, which could potentially cause a little bit of some leaking on the outside of the bottle, and you're just not getting a real good juice flow when you push on it. So just a little word of the wise: do not over tighten this too much. Just butt it right up against there and it's good to go. The inside here has a bit of a juice well. We'll zoom in here and give you a better close up. Alright. It has a milled out little area. What's called a well, a little juice well. If you're using just a standard atomizer, you don't have to use a rebuildable on here, although I find that to be the best performing device. You can just use a regular atomizer, and it has this little well in here so is that any overflow of juice has a place to kind of go without it just kind of dripping down the outside of the device. Kind of a nice little feature. I have noticed, however, while using the Reo Mini 2.1, that I have not had any type of juice end up in the well. Everything seems to always kind of go right back into the bottle where it's supposed to be. That's kind of nice. Okay, we're going to pull this thing apart here, show you the inside. Not much to it, but we'll check it out anyhow. Alright, so first thing we'll do after we took off the door and the battery, let's just take this bottle off here. Grab a little paper towel and kind of wipe off any excess off of your hose there. And cap just slides right off of that hose. Okay. What's nice about this device is, it is kind of like all other mechanical mods. Because it's true mechanical, no wires, everything in here is repairable, replaceable. And the other kind of nice feature is reosmods.com has all of these parts. Everything from this extra screw to extra feed tubes. As I said, because you have a safety factor feature going on in this spring with solder, if you do overheat and collapse the battery, piece of cake, there's a little screw right here where you can access that, unscrew that, take out the old spring assembly, and purchase a new one. It's kind of recommended just to pick up an extra spring. You know, if you're big into sub-ohming or anything like that, you might want to have, you know, if you're more at risk, let's say, to create a short or have a potential overheat situation, it's always nice to have a spare. And even if you're not sub-ohming, it's again always nice to have a spare. I tend to always buy extra pieces for all my mechanical or all my mods, so that if I have an issue, I could just quickly get in there, make the corrections, and keep on vaping. So here's our tube. Nothing special, it's just a simple tube. There's a little plastic plate that kind of hides all your controls there and keeps them separated and nice. In there you can see a very simple connection insulated around your 510 nipple, I guess is a good term for it, where your hose is connecting and squeezing juice straight up and through. As you can see, there's nothing to it. It is just a spring-loaded button that's pushing down and making a connection with the battery. It is a very solid device. I have no doubt that I could take this thing and go bounce it off the ground outside several times. I have, not purposely, but I have several times. I dropped it. In fact, you might notice a scratch here or there on this, but with the exception of some cosmetic scratches from just really putting this thing through its paces, it's really built solid. While it's made out of aluminum, and you know, it's certainly lighter than like a piece of steel, it feels solid. It just feels like something that you could, you know, hammer a nail in with. It really has a really good really good feel to it. One criticism of this button, as I said, it is just a piece of plastic. If you were really trying to go low ohm on this device, you have two issues that you're going to run across. There is a bit of voltage drop that goes on. Nothing major for most people. You won't even notice or have any issues with it. But if you're really into sub-ohming and getting something dialed in, having any significant, or for that matter, any voltage drop is something you like to avoid. That being the case, this manufacturer is currently in the process of adjusting these contacts. Over on Electronic Cigarette Forum, you can find out a ton of information of what's going on with this particular device and other devices in this line. The creator and manufacturer that's put this thing together is on that board all the time. He has a sub-forum right on Electronic Cigarette Forum called Reo's Mods. Check it out. If you have any questions that I'm not answering, check it out. They've got more information there than you know what to do with. What's also pretty awesome is the manufacturer is really responsive. All these issues that I'm bringing up, as far as the voltage drop, the button being plastic, and some people reporting that on super sub-ohm builds, they've gotten this contact hot enough where they start deforming the plastic button itself. All of these issues were brought up on those forums, and all of those issues are currently in the process of being resolved by the manufacturer. So very attentive to detail, very quick to work through any problems and offer solutions. Future Reos will be sold with the upgraded connections, so there will be virtually no voltage drop to speak of, and you'll have a lot less issues as far as buttons melting on all those type of issues. I also believe that they're changing over the button to, I believe, another piece of aluminum. Not exactly sure when and if that's exactly how it's going to go down, but that's kind of the rumor around the campfire over on the forums. So that's it. There's nothing to it. We're gonna put this back together real quick. You know, again, it's easy to get in there and make any adjustments and fix anything that's going on. I'm gonna throw this puppy back together so you see how it's done. Again, there's really nothing to it. You have a hose that's sitting right there. Feed our hose back through here. Drop in our quick screw. Quick little tighten there. You pick up extra bottles, spare bottles, if you need to have them, you know, for quick changes, or, you know, just to have a spare bottle of juice with you if you're out and about and you didn't want to have to try to take this bottle off and refill it. Instead, you can just grab another bottle and unscrew the empty one, take your full one, screw it back on. Now, what I would like to do is actually keep it a little bit lower on the tube. It doesn't restrict any of the feeding or anything, but by kind of having it jammed in there, so it's at the bottom of the of it is kind of firm against it. It's nice because it doesn't move around, and I found that if it's up a little bit higher and there's play on the bottom of the bottle, it tends to kind of jiggle around here and there, and then it taps against the inside portion of the door, giving you a bit of a rattle sound. I'm not much for rattling sounds on any devices, whether it be from the battery or anything else, so just a little trick is just to pull it down a little bit so it's resting hard against there. Okay, your battery goes in here, door slides back in place, you're good to go. Now, that's it. There's nothing else really to this particular portion of the device. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at the Reo Miser, take it apart, do a quick build on it, and then show you how it works on the Reo. Okay, so here's our Reo Miser 2.0. There's a drip tip that comes with it. Here's a criticism. Cheapest drip tip on the planet. Not that I really care because I've got a ton of drip tips, but you know, in the world of clones and everything else where you can buy toppers and drippers for as little as 10 bucks, 20 bucks, something that I'm going to be paying $40, $45 for, I wouldn't mind seeing a nicer drip tip on there. And also knowing that drip tips are cheap, again, it would be kind of nice. Not much of a criticism there. You'll notice as I go along, it's tough to find criticism for this setup. You know, it really works well, and it does what I expected it to do. This particular device is not made out of steel. It is a nickel-plated brass. So if you don't like using brass or you have an issue with that, something to keep in mind. The manufacturer does sell another device also meant to be used as a bottom feeding device that is made of stainless steel. This I tend to go for over that device mainly because of its ease of building. I have a previous build in here that we're going to quickly take apart. So this gives me the benefit of a dripper without the problems associated with it. The way this setup works is you've got two posts, and you've got holes in the posts. This cup is a little bit concave, so as that juice wants to flow towards the center of it. It's also made of ceramic, which is a non-conductive material. Also kind of nice. I don't really like to have my coil touching the base anyhow, but it's nice that gives you again less chance to get a short going on. Now that hole right there is where the juice flows up and into the device. Quick note on battery safety and sub-ohming. If you're going to be messing around, or doing any coil build for that matter, regardless if it's sub-ohm or not, make sure you get yourself a good multimeter, something that you can check exactly what your resistance turns out to be. So I'm just going to do something really simple here. One, two. Okay, so I'm using 28 gauge Canthal. I don't get into flaming it beforehand. I don't find any of that stuff necessary. It just adds time to something that doesn't necessarily need to be done. I did 7 wraps there. Try to keep it nice and tight. Find when you're wrapping coils, if you keep it nice and tight, and it's forgiving Kanthal. So, you know, your coil's off, pull back out, and then wrap it again. If you keep it nice and tight when you're at this stage, it really helps you down the line. The coil's naturally kind of nicer. I like to kind of grab here and pinch it, pull it, and we're good to go. So we've got our 2 wires. Leaving one a little bit longer makes your life a little easier. Got holes in here, making it real easy to build this device. No editing here, just going right to from the wrapping to the building, and as you can see, this is not going to take long. Okay, now one other word to the wise is this particular device has a screw-on cap. This cap screws down, so the air hole tends to line up pretty much dead center with the 2 posts. So you want to basically get your coil somewhere about there, about that dead center area. I like to just take these leads and bend them up, hold everything in place. Don't get crazy with trying to form the coil at this point. Get it tightened in place, fire it up, make any adjustments we need then, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so we've got it about where we want it. You can grab it, just pull it a little bit closer to the deck. I don't like it to have it on the deck, but close to the deck. Okay. Get a nice zoom in here. Like I said, nothing too fancy. Okay, see where we're at. 0.8. I could live with that. Okay, so once we've got this on and we've set it up, we know that we're good on the ohmage. I'm going to fire it up. Oof, ugly. Grab our tweezers, give it a little snugging up. Once you're getting a good fire, squeeze and hold, squeeze and hold. Make any adjustments that you feel you need to make. You don't have to push too hard on these things. And that's it. Bad camera work. See, I'm a vapor, not a camera guy, so I apologize. Alright, we got a nice good coil inside out. You need to know more about coils, how to do any specific coil. Again, hundreds of videos out there. Go check it out. This is just to give you a quick idea. Today we're going to be using organic hemp. I've been playing around with hemp recently as opposed to cotton. Cotton is excellent. It works excellent. But I got a bunch of this hemp fiber. In fact, I got way more than I needed. Mental note, a kilo of hemp is a huge amount. Hemptraders.com is where I got this stuff. It's 100% organic degummed hemp fiber. I have no idea what degummed is, but it did smell and it was horrible when I first got it. It did take several boils. I boiled it, I think, 3 times, 15 minutes a pop, and then let it dry out. But once I did all that, it is really good. It is every bit as good as cotton, if not better. And what I like about it over cotton is that even the nicest organic cotton balls I've been using, there's still, they still got peroxide to bleach them. So, you can boil that out, but just nice to use a 100% natural organic fiber that doesn't have anything in it. Okay, so we get our wick built. More stringy hemp is, so you got to kind of make sure you have the right diameter you're looking for. Otherwise it will just kind of pull apart. Okay, well, just like cotton, find your happy spot, get it through your coil, leave room for it to expand. This stuff does explode. It does really double, I'd say, in size when it gets wet, so make sure you have plenty of room. Man. Come on, camera, work with me, boy. Alright, so we get a good couple clip-offs here. I like to leave it nice and loose in there. Loosey-goosey. Okay, once we've got our wick in place, very simply we're going to take it, and I like to push it right towards the middle here and just let it sit right there. This other piece, the same thing. I just kind of shove it underneath that one lead that's going to the post. Now when I do let it go around, I try not to let that bend go too close, you know, too hard wrapped around the coil. You know, if it's really pinched around the coil, juice is not going to flow quite as nice. So, all right, and then to get it to stay exactly where you like it, we just squeeze on our bottle. That lets juice flow to the top, and this stuff will suck it right up. So we just flood that top of that a couple times. Make any adjustments we feel necessary on our wick. Hemp, just like cotton, do not dry burn. It's not a fan of being dry burned. Once you get it where you like it, give it a little test fire. Whoa, baby, we are vaping. We are vaping like it's going out of style. Look at that bad boy. That is no joke. Okay, so we got it where we want it. I'm going to take our cap, put it back on, and let's see how she vapes. Just an unbelievable amount of vapor that this thing produces. It's on par with a dripper. Yeah, let's just do a really quick comparison just for the fun of it. This is a Trident dripper. It's rigged up with 2 microcoils. There's dual coils in there. This is a sub-ohm build. This thing's coming in just around 0.5 ohm. It's got a brand new fresh 18650 battery in there. And the juice that's in there is about a 50-50 blend. But just to give you a quick idea. I mean, yeah, I could take a huge hit and blow out a huge cloud, but my point is that you could pretty much do the same thing with the Reo. Get that wick nice and juicy. I mean, that's... flavor is dynamite. Hemp, like cotton, it takes a few hits to kind of get rid of that, I don't know, earthy flavor, so to speak. But then it really does shine. I mean, it's a toss-up. I think I'm liking the hemp better. It lasts longer as a wick. It resists burning. So if you tend to hit a dry hit here and there, hemp seems to be the way to go. Excellent. You know, again, just a quick cloud comparison. I mean, it's a dual coil dripper right there, set up at 0.5 ohm. I mean, that thing's meant to be a cloud maker, you know. And this thing is more of a setup at, you know, it is sub 0.8, but I mean, that's set up to be more of an all-day vape. What I like about it is you don't have to take a huge drag, you know. I don't have to sit there sucking on it. And you'll see videos of guys that will grab a, you know, a K-Fun or, you know, even a dripper or whatever it is, and they're sucking and sucking and they're going crazy pulling in a hit. You know, you can always, I always find that the big tell is if someone goes to say they're taking a hit, and you see some vapor coming out of their nose before they've released their cloud, they're double dipping, so to speak. You know, they're pulling in 2 hits for the price of 1. That to me is not an impressive cloud, so to speak. I could do that with a Pro Tank. To me, what's impressive on a cloud maker or just a flavor maker, and this is kind of the combination of the two, is if I take a drag, about the same amount of time that I'm used to taking a drag off a cigarette, when I did smoke cigarettes, as Tripper says, that's dead. Can I produce a good amount of vapor? You know, and I mean, that to me is producing more vapor than I would when I'm, out of an analog. The flavor is excellent. The size of this chamber really lends itself to a delicious, very, very flavorful vape. And also, what's kind of nice about it I don't find that it's too hot. Sometimes even with the K-Fun, you can get it to really produce amazing flavor, but I find that that's a really warm, dense, moist hit. This doesn't really have, it has the moisture, it certainly has the density and the flavor, but it does not have the heat associated with it, which I kind of like. Now, I did drill out my air hole a bit than what stock was, and it would be nice if it had adjustable airflow control. I believe also that's in the works. As I said, the manufacturer is a really responsive type of person who sees what people are saying they're missing or they'd like, and seems to try to provide you with that. So, all in all, this is not a cheap device, but in my opinion, it kind of fills a place in my vaping collection that nothing else did. It gives me everything a dripper would give me, without having the inconvenience of having to drip. Whenever I need more juice, just a quick squonk of that bottle, juice to the top, excess juice gets pulled right back down from the vacuum effect in the tube, or the suction effect, and you're ready to take 2, 3, 4 more hits before it's time to hit it again. And just really good, flavorful, or just really hits the spot. Can't say enough good things about this device. I was skeptical. People over on the Electronic Cigarette Forum push this thing left and right, and it's easy to understand why, because once you have the treat of actually using one, and I'm not just saying hitting a buddies for once or twice, but actually keeping it with you, using it all day, every day for a few weeks or months, you really start to appreciate what it's doing. The flavor, the density. I've walked into local B&M shops where guys are trying to be the ultimate cloud makers with drippers, and I have pulled this little nothing thing out of my pocket, sat right next to them, take a drag that's probably a half of what they're taking, and I'm producing a cloud like that. So it has a lot of benefits, and it tastes absolutely delicious. Word to the wise, this thing does produce so much dense vape that even if you're not familiar with using drippers, and if you're going from a tank style device, you will have to lower your nicotine. Now, you might not. You might like having being in a nicotine coma, but I tell you, I had to drop my nicotine close to in half when I started using this as my daily vape, because with every hit, the density is just out of this world. So, final thoughts. It's pricey, it's not cheap, but you're paying for something that was made in America, really solid device. I mean, I could probably go hammer a nail in or two with this thing. I could certainly throw it down the driveway, pick it up, and it would still keep on vaping. The manufacturer is there to support it, give you any tips, advice. Even if you had problems with it, you could send it back in. He'll rebuild the whole thing and send it back to you. Not free, of course, but still, it's nice. I don't know that I could do that with pretty much any one of my devices. Maybe a Provari, maybe if I spent a lot of money on, certain Zen products or other products that are out there that. But again, you're going to pay for that service. You're not going to buy any Chinese knockoff or even any, device from the Philippines that's costing you hundreds of dollars and say, hey, I'm having a problem. Could you rebuild this? And if you did, the money you're going to spend in airfare, time to wait to do that, it's just getting a little ridiculous. So it's nice being that, there's support for this thing, knowing that it should be a device that will really last. I could beat the hell out of it, use it all day, throw it in my pocket, not worry about it. It does not leak. I have not had any issues with it leaking because most of the excess juice always gets pulled back down into the bottle, leaving nothing but the wick wet. I found that it's a very convenient device to leave the house with. It's I really love the size of it. You know, you could pocket it, you could stealth vape with it if that's your deal. But it's just kind of very convenient. And as I said, the flavor of vape reduction really, it just can't be beat for the package, for the size. So that's it. That's the Reo. If you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. Anything I didn't discuss or questions that you might have, there is, as I said, a wealth of information. If you go check out Electronic Cigarette Forum and look for the Reo Mod subforum, you're able to PM direct to the manufacturer and ask him questions. They also make Reos with variable voltage. Of course, that's not a true mechanical mod. And they also have what he calls a Woodville, which is the same design carved out of wood. And I don't own one of these devices, one of the wood devices, but from the pictures, they are, you know, that's what you call a work of art. Really impressive woodwork with the same basic design. Again, those aren't 100% truly mechanical because they have a bit of a click button that goes on the side. But that's for another review once I get one of those devices. The last thing will say is lots of times you're watching reviews of devices. A lot of them have been given to the reviewer for free, and you know, everyone says, hey, you know, I'm still going to give you my open, honest opinion, and you know, they might point out things that they don't like, and there are things on this device that, you know, I think could be improved. It's nice that the manufacturer is going to improve them, so you know, nothing's perfect, but I find reviewers that are getting stuff for free, to me, they're going to have a tough time explaining to me why it's worth it. If you pick up a device that will cost you and me, the average Joe, several hundreds of dollars, or you know, 150, you know, by the time this is said and done with this particular topper, a $200 device, if I didn't pay for it, it's going to be a heck of a lot easier for me to tell you, yeah, it's great, it's worth it. It's worth it when you got handed it to you, you know, and then you give it away after a few months. That I have to put a little, you know, grain, you know, take those reviews with a grain of salt, so to speak, because I want to know, would you put your money where your mouth is? Would you go buy that device, not just use it because someone sent it to you and then give them a review and maybe pick here and there? I find most of those reviews end off with, "This is a good device. Give it a try. Give it a thumbs up." There's a reason why I would buy another one of these things, and I would save my vape money up to get another one, because it does a fantastic job. It is, out of all the devices that I own and have used, this is by far, well, maybe not by far, but it is certainly one of the top devices I own. So I would have no problems buying another one. One of the top devices I own. So I would have no problems buying another one. Saving up my money for a wood one. Hint, hint, Rob. So thanks for watching. I'm glad you enjoyed your time here at the Vape Lounge. I'm going to have a bunch more reviews coming. And all the reviews that I'm going to do are going to be from things that I've acquired with my own money. So if they suck, you're going to know about it. And if they're good, I'm going to try to ask the question, is it good enough? Is it worth the money I paid? Would I buy it again? So, thanks again for watching. This is Jeff from the Vape Lounge, and happy vaping.